How's it going, you guys, and welcome back to ConstantlyVariedFitness. And in today's video we have part 1 of how to run an effective CrossFit class by creating an efficient warm-up and stretch protocol. Now we also have a part 2 to this video where we're going to talk about more of just appropriate time allowance, make sure we're not running into our strength, going too far into our Metcon, we're not having enough time to finish it, and or we take too long in the Metcon now and we're having ourselves run into the next class, which is a no-no. We'll make sure we're maximizing that hour and keeping everything within that hour time frame so that we're not bothering the next class and having them wait on you because we weren't appropriately approaching our hour class time for the day. So this is assuming that your gym already has a pretty efficient strength and Metcon program. They already have that all built out. But let's say your gym is kind of wanting to up that. If you guys have any questions on how to create an effective strength program and how to create a week or more of Metcons, leave it down below in the comment section. We'll come out with videos for that if you guys are interested. So, talking about warm up and stretches. When it comes to me, when it comes to creating my warm-up and my stretches for my athletes, not only do I don't want to just get them their blood pumping and just get them moving, I want to make sure that it's very precise movement and that we're getting ourselves ready for whatever the workout is or whatever our strength portion is. So, for example, we have 5x5 deadlifts. Deadlifts is a very heavy posterior movement, and it's a lot of hamstrings, glutes, and low back. So we're going to write that here, posterior. A lot of people say posterior or posterior. I say posterior. Let me know what you guys call it. But a lot of posterior movements. So in the warm-up, we'll kind of include some other movements that are going to require not only the same muscle groups, but ideally the same movement pattern as well. So people are getting the idea of the hip hinge in a deadlift. We might use kettlebell swings. We might use glute bridges. We might use RDLs. A lot of different things you can do there. We'll talk about that in a second. Now for the workout, I like to focus on the main things that require a lot of mobility and muscle recruitment to get them done. So for example, the most skill heavy and the most movement heavy exercise, I guess you could say, or let's use a better word, the most physically taxing movement would be the chest bar pull-up. Anybody can row, anybody can do burpees, but chest bar pull-ups not everyone can do. They're pretty intensive when it comes to throwing those in a workout. So with that being said, we're gonna make sure we're definitely getting ourselves ready for chest to bar. So chest to bar is a big lat and shoulder exercise. When it comes to the calorie row, we're also going to be hitting that with the posterior movements as well. A lot of people row incorrectly and use a lot of their quads, but for this we're going to use a lot of our posterior if we actually row correctly. So make sure, if you don't already know how to row, check out our rowing video. I'll tag it up above so you guys can check that out and make sure that you're rowing efficiently and not just rowing using your anterior muscle groups. Now burpees over the rower. So, going back, so we're not, obviously deadlifts, we're hitting posterior here, so we don't have to hit here for the rower. We might hit like a little bit of ankles if we feel like it, but that's up to you, up to your discretion. Burpees over the rower. A lot of people can do burpees, but we'll make sure that our chests are warmed up and our shoulders are feeling good, so when we come down in that rep, if we feel like we're constricted and tight, it's gonna be a lot harder to get our chests to the floor, and it's gonna blow up our shoulders a lot faster. So we'll make sure our shoulders are feeling good and they're open. So we already have shoulders up here, so we'll just tie that in and maybe add a second shoulder exercise. I feel like my camera was really dark, so I just brightened it up a little bit. Now, we want to focus on our posterior here, and we want to focus on our lats and our shoulders. So first, we're going to talk about some stretches. Ideally, I like to do about 3 to 4, maybe a little more, depending on how much time I think I'll have of stretches. So first, starting with posterior stuff, we'll make sure we're definitely getting our glutes ready. So what I might have someone do here is I might have them do banded hip extensions, not banded hip extensions, banded lateral walks. This way we're getting the glutes warmed up, we're getting the abductors warmed up, we're getting ready to drive those knees out, because not only in a squat you want to have your knees out, you want to have your knees out in a deadlift as well, and make sure they're not caving in on you. Now, another thing I might have them do is I might have them do a walking hamstring stretch where they take a little step in front of them, they lean forward and kind of get those hamstrings stretched out, because we're going to need that stretch in order to be able to bend over and pick up the bar. So I'll have them do walking hamstring. Now, after that, going to the workout portion, we want to get our lats ready because we're going to be doing a lot of those chest to bar pull-ups. So one thing I like to do that I find really helpful in 2 ways is the hanging lat pull down. What this does is it helps elongate the spine and get everything nice and loose, especially if you have someone that has really tight upper body and just needs to help stretch out those lats. So I have them do hanging lat activations, but it's also beneficial because it's also getting the lats warm and tight and ready to contract as well, so they're ready to do kipping pull-ups if that's what they're going to do for the workout. So, hanging scat pull-ups. And then if I want to throw in a fourth, again, because we have a little bit of chest involved with the chest to bar, make sure we want to open up so we can get our chest to the bar, and also open up because we want to get our chest to the floor. For the burpee, I'll have them do a twisted lying pec stretch. If you've done Romanian, you've seen it before, where you have your hand out to the side and you twist away and you're opening that angle between your shoulder and your chest. So I find that one really effective for a lot of people, especially if you sit at a desk all day and you're really tight and constricted, and you have really poor posture and rolled over shoulders. So from here I'll have them doing lying pec stretch. So those are my 4 stretches stretches / activation. I like to make sure the muscles are also ready to fire and do what we want them to do, especially for a lot of people because they just don't understand how to recruit their muscles correctly. If I have someone do banded lateral walks, so they have the band on their quads, they're going side to side, their butt gets lit up and now the butt has a bunch of blood rushing to it, it's ready to fire and they're ready to do deadlifts. Whereas I've had many people where I teach them deadlifts and they don't understand the contraction of the glutes and they kind of stay hunched over. Maybe they're not actually squeezing their butt and like their back's doing a lot of the work. So that's why I like to combine activation stuff, because it's also going to help, again, get blood flow there, help break up any tightness there might be, and help with range of motion. So essentially it's kind of like a stretch in that way. But I'll also include more other stretches as well that help make sure we open up and lengthen muscles to get ready for our workout. Now, one thing I want to touch on before we leave stretches is that a lot of people say you're not supposed to do static stretches before you work out. You shouldn't be holding a stretch for more than like 5 seconds, try to do more dynamic stuff, which I highly agree with. But going back to that example of a person that has really rolled over shoulders. They're hunched at their desk all day. This gets locked in for 8 hours, and then you want me to do some shoulder stretches or some dynamic shoulder stretches to help open it up. If they're like this for 8 hours, a combined, say I do 10 reps, 3 seconds on of just some type of shoulder stretch, like some dynamic shoulder stretch, 30 seconds total of work is not going to be stretching this out. That's not going to do us any good. We want to really open it up and lengthen it as much as we can. So I might have athletes hold these stretches for 45 seconds, 60 seconds, maybe longer based on their individual needs. I'll say, hey, before we start this deadlift, I want you to go hop in this stretch for an extra minute just to really get opened up. Correct movement, technique, and form is much more important than the reactive and stiffness of our muscles. A lot of people, because the argument is you won't be able to have somewhat tighter muscles to still react and be able to fire and trigger as fast as you want. But if I have someone that's, when it comes to chest to bar or any kind of pull-up, they hang from the bar like this and they literally cannot straighten their arms for the life of them, that is a bigger issue than how many pull-ups they're gonna be able to do in the workout. I'll make sure the pull-ups look good, and if that has us losing 10% of our power in the muscle, so be it. Correct movement patterns are always the first main focus with anything in the gym. So that's my 2 cents. I'm not against dynamic stretches. Some days I'll have my class do dynamic stretches if it's nothing too crazy, but when it comes to a deadlift where form is key and I don't want anyone to have their injured backs, I don't care if they don't hit their prescribed percentages for this part. I just care that they move correctly. So hold these stretches for a little bit longer. Anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute before we work out, before we do our strength portion, will make a big difference. If you have any other questions on dynamic stretches or static stretches, I have a video linked up above. Click on that as well. I got a lot of videos out for you guys. If you're not already subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Got lots of stuff for you. Okay, so we have our stretches. Now for our warm-up. Our warm-up's really good because it's gonna get the blood flowing, it's help break up any stiffness, help flush all that gunk we've had from the day before, all that soreness that might still be built up if the athlete wasn't really moving during the time from their last period at the gym. So what I like to do here is not only will I target muscle groups, not only will I target muscle groups that can be used later, but I also really like to have it be the same movement pattern or as close as possible to it. So for deadlifts, very posterior heavy. I could have someone do squats, because that's gonna work on their posterior. I could have them do some rowing, that's gonna work on their posterior, but it's not quite the same movement pattern. What I might have someone do is I might have them do Romanian deadlifts, might have them do kettlebell swings, something where it's the same hinging motion and they're getting that movement down in their head before we even tackle the strength portion. That way it's kind of killing two birds with one stone. It's getting that area warmed up, and that way it's also getting their body ready for the actual movement that they're gonna be doing. So, super easy one, super effective one. You don't have to go heavy with it, but it's also a dynamic one, so it's also really getting a lot of blood flow and really getting the heart rate up, is a kettlebell swing. Whether it be Russian, American, we'll just have them do Russian for today. Boom. Because I also have the rower here, we have a good amount of posterior stuff. I might add a second one, so I might add some glute bridges just to help them get their glutes firing and make sure that they know how to contract that muscle group. So we'll have them do some glute bridges. After that, looking at the burpees over the rower, it's a lot of pressing with the chest, essentially 45 dynamic push-ups. So I might have them do some strict push-ups in the warm-up. And then after that, we have our chest to bar pull-ups. There's a lot of lats and shoulders. Here I might have them do some ring rows with a pause at the top, really focusing on that contraction and getting those warmed up. It's also really beneficial because you want to have warmed up lats as well for deadlifts, so you can lock it down and keep that bar close to your body. So I might have them do ring rows. My handwriting is getting sloppier and sloppier. Ring rows, you can have them do barbell rows, have them do individual dumbbell or kettlebell rows. You could have them do band pull-aparts, numerous different things you could do there. But I think that might be all that I want to focus on. I might throw in another thing just if I feel like this is not enough warm-up, but for now, when I look at it just from first glance, I feel like this is a pretty effective warm-up that's going to get them really warm for not only the strength, but the workout. So I like to make sure my warm-ups are short, sweet, to the point. I don't want my athletes just kind of just linger around, maybe dilly-dally, maybe take too long of a time and take rest during the warm-up. The rest should be go, go, go. I want that heart rate up, I want the blood pumping. So for this, because we have 4 movements, it's kind of a lengthier one. I might have it be 2 rounds. And then after those 2 rounds, we'll kind of work on the reps. Again, short, sweet. I don't want them to do 40 kettlebell swings and get their lower body too warmed up and kind of fatigue them at all. It's way unnecessary. So from here, I might have it be anywhere from like 15 reps or less depending on the movement. So rushing kettlebell swings, let's have them do 10, nice even number. I'm all about multiples of 5. 5, 10, 15 is my jam when it comes to the warm-up. I don't know why. This looks more appealing to me and I feel like it's pretty effective that way. Next, glute bridges. I might have them do, I can only have them do 5 here, but we'll add a pause to make sure again they're really contracting, getting those muscles ready. So we'll have them do 5 here, and then we'll add a 3-second pause. Push-ups, you don't really need a lot of push-ups to get them warm, especially if you're doing like, it's one of those things where if you do a few, you're gonna get a little bit of blood pumping because it's not a huge muscle group like compared to your back or your legs, and a few push-ups will really get you warm, so we'll have them do 10. You would have them do 5, 8, whatever. I try to make it, like, another reason why I try to have this kind of rep scheme is because it's very simple and it's more easier for members or athletes to memorize it, and that way they're not walking back to the board. What's next? How many reps? It's 10, 5, 10. What I might have them do here again is another 5 to make the math really easy. Oh, I did 10, I go back to 5. I did 10, go back to 5. So I'll have them do 5 reps here. After that, boom, let's add another pause, get those lats really contracted and ready to fire. So I might add a 2-second pause here. Or if I wanted to make it really easy again, I could do 3 seconds for both of those. So that way it's not like, which one was the 2-second or 3-second pause? Try to make it super simple for your athletes so they can just get through it nice and quick and again, be efficient. So this is our warm-up, these are our stretches for today's strength and our Metcon. I feel like this is pretty short and sweet, pretty effective. Actually, let's go back really quick and let's kind of add some time frames for these portions. So for the banded lateral walks, this link we can kind of spend more time with because it's dynamic. It's not going to really beat up their muscles too much and have them too stretched out. So let's spend 2 minutes here. For the walking hamstring stretch, I'll have them go for X amount of steps, which might be around a minute or so. Let's say we have them do like 10 or 12 steps per side. Hanging scap pull-ups, I might have them do reps here, so we'll have them do 10 reps or so. I don't know, I'm in love with 10 today. I don't know why. Normally I have a little more diversity, but 10 is the magic number today. And I have them do 10 hanging scap pull-ups, so from there, again, about a minute-ish, we'll give them a minute tops to kind of find a bar and get ready for all that. And then lying pec stretch, I like to do this one a little bit longer, especially because 9 out of the 10 athletes that come to my gym all have desk jobs. They're all tight. They don't know how to have correct posture, even though I remind them every day, hey, keep those shoulders back, make sure you're not hunched over, blah, 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 but it goes in one ear, out the other with a lot of the people. So lying pec stretch, I might have them do 1 minute per side, maybe 45 seconds per side, but let's round up to just 2 whole minutes for both arms. Boom. So we have a total of 2 minutes, 1 minute, 1 minute, 2 minute. That is 6 minutes for the stretches. Not too bad. And it's nothing like where we need to have a lot of equipment or bands. We have the one initial band for the lateral walks, but that's not gonna take a lot of time to get in and out of. For the warm up, this is not a lot of time at all. It's gonna be really fast. I would say maybe about 3 minutes per round. So let's say 6 minutes. So we'll say 8, just to give a little bit of time to kind of get everything ready, walk around, go from movement to movement. Yeah, my handwriting's getting really sloppy. Okay, time to end this video. But that is how I would come up with an effective warm-up and stretches for my day of programming. Now, real quick, just to recap on all of this, for the warm-up, not only do we want to get the right muscle groups warmed up and firing and get the blood pumping, we also want to get similar movement patterns, so that way the athletes are getting 2 for 1 for the warm-up and not just getting the muscles warm, but getting the idea of how the movement should feel when they come to the later movements. The stretches, we like to not only do stretches to make sure that they're feeling lengthened in certain areas to make sure they're hitting the right depth or the right standard for a movement, but we also want to add some activation stuff to make sure the right muscle groups are firing so they don't start faulting towards the wrong movements, or excuse me, the wrong muscle groups, and leave the chance to improper movement, loss of energy, and or an injury. So if you guys have any questions at all on warm-ups or stretches, make sure you leave them down below and I'll get right back to you guys. Also let us know if you guys want that strength and that Metcon structure or template so you can have an effective full week or month of programming for your gym. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, hit the like button, subscribe for plenty more, and we'll see you guys next time.